Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today we have an exciting AI-powered application which its contents being updated automatically without even we think about it. It shows the latest movies and shows with the power of IMDB database. Also, its content, including the title and the description of the homepage, is being generated automatically using AI, the most powerful one, which is Google Gemini. Also, we automate this process using Inngest, which helps us update our content regularly without the need of us to monitor it. The website is fully responsive and has dark mode functionality. You can search among all the movies and add them to your favorites. By using Google Gemini and Inngest automation, we always have a new content in our application, which is very good for the SEO of the website. The website can be easily ranked on Google because of having fresh content daily. If you're interested in AI-powered application and want to learn about automation, this tutorial is for you. Now let me showcase the website for you. Alright, welcome back. So as you can see from the final version, from this address imdb.100js projects, we have this homepage with the trending movies here. But here's the difference. We have a title here that is based on the new movies and also a description with a link with these movies. What we want to do is to create this title and this description automatically by AI based on these trending movies, and we're gonna update them basically every day, or we can update them every week depending on our choice of interest. So what we want to do is to use Inngest to schedule a weekly or daily update based on the movie. So we're gonna get the movie information, then get these movies information and give it to the Gemini AI. So we're gonna use Google Gemini to create this title and also this description automatically, and we don't need to update these contents and we don't need to write down these things. So our website basically is going to be updated all the time. It's going to be very good for the SEO of the website. So we can always have a fresh content in our website, which is very good for ranking our website because we're gonna have an updated page every day or every week, depending our choice in Inngest and how we wanna automatically update it. So we have done this project so far until showing the trending and also top rated everything, and we've done the authentication part from Clerk and everything is done. If you wanna get the code until here, I put the link in the description for the GitHub repository, and also you can watch the previous video about creating this app. So without further ado, we're gonna start creating this added functionality for our headline and the description. So what we want to do is to firstly install Inngest in our application. I want to show you how to use Inngest. First, I want to give you an example, create an example that is already in their website. I think it's very simple and easy to understand, and it's better to start with that. So I'm going to explain that in their documentation. We're going to learn it, deploy it, and see the results of that particular function. And then we're going to create our own function. So that function is very simple. It's just a hello world. So it's just going to show a hello world based on the input data, and it's going to show it after 1 second. But our project is a 3-step project. First, we want to get the movie data, then create the data from the Gemini, and then we're going to save the data inside MongoDB database. So basically, we're gonna fetch the data at the end in our homepage. Also, I've added the added folders and files for Inngest. For example, this folder here and this files. So I also included this eraser.io for you in the description, so you can find the folder and file structure of the project. I'm gonna explain you here as well, so you're gonna understand deeply how the folder and files structure works in Next.js project using Inngest, and also what kind of API we need to add for Inngest, and also for adding our MongoDB new model, which is the homepage content. So first thing we need to do is install Inngest. I suggest you to go in the description and click on the link I provided for you. So once you click on the link in the description, you go to the Inngest website. So with this URL, inngest.com, and you can use this completely for free. They have a free tier, and easily you can use their application. And first thing first, I want to sign in. So you can easily sign in with your Gmail, Google account. So, and you can see the app dashboard. As you can see, we have app section, function sections, and events, webhooks, and etc. And you can see all the rounds of your application. So now basically, now we don't have any apps. So we have to create the apps, and then we're gonna see it inside our Inngest dashboard. But this is the dashboard inside the Inngest website. We're gonna have a dashboard in our local environment as well. So we can easily create that. So what we want to do is to go to the Inngest documentation. We can just go to Inngest documentation. We can start with the Next.js. So it's very simple. They provide a complete tutorial for Next.js, both for app router and pages router. So basically nowadays everybody is using app router because it's for the newest version of Next.js. Let me zoom this a little bit. So what we want to do is see in this tutorial is how to set up around an Inngest, and also create an Inngest function, and how we trigger this function inside our app or also inside the dev server. So two ways we can run this application. One is locally and one in the application as I shown here. We can see here, but we're going to create a local one as well. So the first step is create our Next.js projects. We have already created our application and we can run it using npm run dev. We have created that, and also our page is running. So let me close everything here. So basically we can start from scratch. So we have our application. It's running in our local machine, which is here, localhost 3000. So the next step is to install Inngest. So they have a SDK, and also you can use this command to install Inngest. You can use npm yarn and etc. You can just copy this and go back to Visual Studio Code. I'm gonna open a new terminal and paste the code and install Inngest. This is gonna take a while. While we are waiting for this installation, let's continue with the documentation. So after the installation, we need to run the Inngest dev server. We're gonna install it we're gonna run this command, and this is going to open ingest in our environmental, like a local environment, like localhost this code, for example. So something similar to this, if happens when you install it. Let me see if the installation is completed. Yes. So now we can just copy this command or utility. You can just paste it here. It's asked you to install some packages. We say yes. So this is going to install a package called Ingest CLI. And after the installation, we're gonna see the ingest in our local environment. So basically like this localhost 3000, we're gonna have another port for ingest. Okay, now the installation is completed. As you can see, the port is available here, here, and here. So I'm gonna just run this one. As you can see, now we have ingest similar to their application in their website, but locally running in our machine. As you can see, we have the runs apps function. So what we want to do is to create an app in our code and function, and this is going to automatically be added to our ingest dev server. So let's continue with the documentation. So after the running the dev server, as you can see, we have something like this. I have it in the light mode. So this is a dark mode. I can just change this one to dark mode, see the same thing. Okay. So as you can see, we have it in our localhost 8288. So we see all the rounds. There is no round here. The next step is to create an ingest client. So basically it's an endpoint, API endpoint that we add to our Next.js application, which is going to trigger and create the ingest client. So this is going to run the functions. We're going to have an API endpoint at API/ingest. In order to create that, we're going to create this client file first in our Next.js project, and also we want to run it basically using this API route. So what we want to do is to create this client file inside the src ingest client.js. If you look at the eraser, I have already shown inside the src folder, the main folder that we have our application, like app, the components, library, and etc. We're going to create a new folder called ingest. And inside that, we're going to have a file called client.js, or we can, let me zoom this a little bit. Okay. So here, basically, we're going to have a client.js or client.ts, depending on you using JS or TS, or JavaScript or TypeScript. So here, inside the src folder, I want to create a new folder called ingest with double N, and we're going to create a file called client.js. So ingest client.js. Once we create this function, we can create our first app. We can call this app, for example, my app. Here we have ID. What we want to do is to create a new ingest using this new ingest, and we're going to pass the ID. So let me copy this. So we're going to paste this one here. So this is the app that we are creating. We can call it anything we want, my app or anything. We can just say movie app or IMDB app, whatever. That's just the ID. Also, you can see some errors here. It's not important. They are just normal because we haven't created the function and the API route for ingest. So this is the first step. We have just created the ingest client. Let's come back to the documentation here. So once you create the client file here. Next, we need to set up a route handler for API ingest route. So we're gonna create an API route for ingest, which with this address src app API ingest and route.js or TS. So if you look at our eraser, you can see that inside the app folder, we're gonna have a folder called API, and then here we're gonna have a folder called ingest, and then we're gonna have a file called route.js, which is going to create this API route, the ingest API route, which is /API/ingest. We need this actually API route to connect our application, our Next.js application, and ingest. So the ingest is going to be triggered and create our application and functions. So let's create this one inside our application. We go to apps, we have API, and then here we're going to create a new folder called ingest, and then we're going to have route.js. So this is going to be our API route. The codes here is provided with the documentation. You can see we have imported serve from ingest/next, and then we're going to have our client, which is created here. So we're going to import that, and we're going to create an API that serves 0 functions. So this one doesn't have any functions yet. So, and then we're going to add our functions here in this section. But we're going to connect our functions and client in our API route, basically with this code. So we're going to copy this and paste it in our Visual Studio Code. So we're going to add the functions later, as you can see here. So what we want to do in the next step is write our first ingest function. Here's an example of creating a function. So what we want to do is we want to create a function called hello world, test/hello world. So in this step, we're going to write our first serverless function. The function will be triggered when an event occurs. For example, in our case, when we have an input, or we call it in our application, or we can invoke it. Later, I'm going to show you how to invoke an application in ingest. So this application is very simple. It's just going to sleep for 1 second and return hello world. So first thing first, we want to define the function. We're going to use this create function method in our in the ingest client. And then we want to create another file called functions.js or TS. And basically, we're going to create that function. So if you look at the eraser, we can see that inside the src folder, inside the ingest, we're going to have another file called functions.js. So basically, all the functions is going to be inside this file. And let's create this file as well. So we go to src folder. We're going to go to ingest. And then here we're going to create the functions.js file. And then we're going to have this code here. So basically, it's going to import ingest from our client folder. So here we have the client folder. It's going to import that ingest that we have exported here. We're going to import that. And using the create function, here we're going to create a new function. The function has an ID and event, and it has different steps. So in this case, we only have one step, which is going to just pause the application for 1 second. Can be anything else. But in our application, we're going to have 3 steps. So I'm going to show you later in the video. So let's copy this and paste it in our functions.js. So now we have our function, we have our client, and we have our API route. So now we want to add this function here inside the route.js. Let's go to the next step. So basically we need to add the function to the serve here inside the API route. So here, as you can see, we just need to call the function, which is called hello world. How do we know it's called hello world? Here you can see the name is hello world. So we need to just import it at the top, and then we're gonna call it here. So let me just copy this again and replace our code inside the route with this one. Let me copy again. Okay, so basically we have imported hello world, and then we just call it here inside the functions. So now let's go to the next step. So basically it's the same thing. So the other frameworks they are mentioning that is the same. So this is not only for Next.js. For example, if you're using Astro, it's just gonna be, instead of ingest next, it's going to be ingest/Astro or remix. So basically everything is the same. The next step is to trigger our function from ingest dev server. So now if we check our localhost 8288 functions, we're gonna see this hello world there. So, and then what we wanna do, we're gonna run this application. We can run it by basically clicking on this button here. So let me go up a little bit. So here we're gonna click on this invoke button. Inside the function, we're gonna see the function. Let's go and check it. So we go to functions. As you can see, it's automatically came here. And also in the app, this IMDB app is auto detected based on this /API ingest. It's automatically detected, the language, the framework, everything is here. And then also one function is detected called hello world. So what we want to do here, we can run this invoke. As you can see, we need to put some input. If you remember here in the functions, so we have an event and we can get the data from this event. The data which we need to add is event.data.email. So we need to add the email, and then it's going to return hello with our email address. So it's gonna wait for example, 1 second. We can just add it, for example, 10 seconds to be more clear. I wanna see the functionality here. For example, I wanna add, this is a JSON format, so need to add a colon, email, and then, for example, I just say example, or for example, sahan.gha@gmail.com. Okay. And we can just invoke function. As you can see, it's running. If you click on it, you can see it's running and it's waiting for 10 seconds, and then it's going to be completed. So basically we had a one step which is going to stop for 10 seconds, and then it's going to run, and then we're gonna have some output here, which is hello, the email. So what was the input? Basically in data email, we have added our input, and then we can just get the output here. So it was just a two-step function, getting the information, just run it and finish. So in documentation, you can see we needed to click on the invoke, and then we're gonna input our data. Here is just say test@example.com, and once it's just filled and click on invoke function, the payload, that data, that email is going to be sent to the ingest, and we're gonna automatically execute our function in the background, as you can see here. So when we click on the run, you will see more information about the event. So basically we're gonna see the information here, the output, as I shown you before. So this is going to be output, this is the input, the payload, And basically, and if you need it, you can just rerun it again. For example, here, I'm gonna rerun. As you can see, it's running. You can cancel the run. You can actually debug it. You see the errors, everything here. So you can rerun and you can see all your runs here. If you go to run, this is function, this is the run. You can see all your runs, when it's happened and what triggered it. So now that was triggering through the application, but if you want to trigger it through your code, it's a bit different. So you need to have a method called send to send the method. For example, here they're gonna create an API route called API/hello/route.js, and basically this is going to have a GET request sending this information. We can create this one and test it as well in our code. Let me copy this. Let me first create this API route, API/hello/route.js. So API hello/route.js. Let me delete this and create it again. hello/route.js. So let's copy this code and paste it here. So basically it's going to create an API route with a GET request, and using the send, we're gonna send it and trigger our function there. So now let's go back to the documentation. So we have created this. And now if we go to our like a browser and just do /API/hello, we're gonna trigger that API route and just send this payload, and this is going to return a message for us called event send. And let's try it now. Just pay attention to this run. So we only have 2 runs here. But if you go to here /API/hello, as you can see, now we got the message event sent. If you go to ingest, you can see now it's running inside ingest and it's completed. So you can easily trigger any functions or application in ingest using the send method. As you can see here, it's very simple. So that was it. You just get it and then see it inside the ingest. So as you can see, the documentation is completely clear and easy to understand. So what we want to do now is to create our own application. But before that, this is running locally in our machine, but I want to run this one in and see it inside the app here. So in order to see it here, as you can see, we don't see any function or app here. What we want to do is to connect our ingest to our Vercel. If you remember, we have just deployed our application to Vercel. Let me go to vercel.com. This is our application. And here in this URL, we have our application. So I want each time in this application, for example, if I go to API/hello, I want to run that ingest, this application works with the ingest, not my local machine. So we can just go to the documentation of the ingest, and then here, let's go to deployment. Let's go to overview. In the deployment, as you can see, there is a dedicated section for deploy with Vercel. So we can go here. As you can see, Ingest enables you to host your functions on Vercel using their serverless functions platform. So basically we have our serve function here, and then first thing first, we want to upload this function. So we need to actually create a commit and upload the codes that we have created in this section and send it to Vercel. Before doing that, let's check everything. So, and then we want to connect our Vercel and Inngest together. They have something called Inngest signing key, the environmental variable, which is going to be automatically added to the Vercel. So, and also, yeah, for bypassing the deployment protection, as you can know, Vercel has some protection and doesn't allow some third party access their data or something like that. So we need to disable it, or we need to add some key to that to be able to use these two applications together. As you can see here, we have this path, and also we need to have the deployment protection key. We will need to add it here. I'm going to show you how to do it. And it shows how to have multiple applications and how to sync your app. So what I want to do now is to go to here at the top. I said we're gonna integrate. So let me click on this one. No, we need to go to our application and integration. And we need to integrate with Vercel. So I'm going to click on manage. And as you can see, I have already seen my Vercel applications here. Each of them, if I want to do, I can add it. If you don't see this one, you need to connect your Vercel to here. So you go to Vercel. Let me show you in the documentation. So here, deployment, Vercel. So when you go to Vercel here, you can see we have a marketplace and ingest here. Here, you need to click on connect and connect your ingest to your Vercel. It's very simple. You just click on it and choose your theme. For example, for me, this one, read and write, and connect. And once you do it, it's going to redirect you to this page and ask you which project you want to connect. So in our case, I want to add, let me find the application. I think it was IMDB and Next IMDB. Yes, this one. This is I was just testing this one. This. And then save configuration. Now we go to ingest dashboard. So now you have added the ingest and you can just configure it. So in ingest, I told you, you go to just here inside the integration, you choose Vercel, and then here, the application. For example, if you want to do this one, it's already enabled. Let's configure that. So we want to protect this project. We just said enable. And the path is going to be /API/ingest. And you want to have that deployment protection key here. So if you go to Vercel, now we want to get this deployment protection key. Go to Vercel, we go to setting, and here we go to deployment protection. As you can see, now we have protection bypass. We need to add some secret here to add it. Okay, so now we just say add a secret. You can just choose whatever you want. I just put some random word. I just copy it. I save this. It should be please latent this text to 30 or more, or you're currently 25. So you need to add more. I'm just want to copy it, save this, and as you can see, it's already added. And we can just go to ingest and paste it here. And we're going to save the configuration. So this is the first step. The next one, we need to deploy what we have created here. This is just going to be, for example, I create a message for this one. Let's see what we get as a suggestion here. Add ingestion here with the event handling and app route. And then we just say, hello world example. I just commit and push it. Once we commit this one, Vercel is going to automatically deploy it. As you can see, it's already started. It's building it. Once it's built and we have all the information there, we can try and see that if we can just get the app and the functions inside the ingest, not in the local, inside the dashboard in our ingest application. So it's not locally, it's on the internet. So let's wait for this one to be built. All right, it's already deployed. Let's try to go to our application. I think it's this address. Let's go to /API/hello. That was the one we created. Okay, as you can see, the message says event sent. Let's go to our ingest. Let's go to here. As you can see, now we have an application. It's automatically detected, and it's here. I think we have already one run. Okay, that's this one. And as you can see, yes, it waited for 10 seconds. And the input was just the that's example. The output is hello, this email. And also we can go to our functions and see. Let's refresh the page. Okay, now we see the function, IMDB app, hello world. What we can do, we can invoke it here as well. We can just give it data. For example, email. It's just the hand@gmail.com. And we can just press invoke function. Let's go to the runs. And let's go back. Function runs. Okay, this is a new one. As you can see, it's run. The run is here, and you can see the result. the output is hello sahad@gmail.com. So it's working fine in our deployment inside the application of the ingest instead of local. All right, now it's time to create our application. We're gonna, first thing first, we wanna get the Gemini API key because we wanna use the Gemini to create our title and the description based on the data from the movies. So what we want to do is here is to search for Gemini AI API key. If you search for this one, you can just click on the first result, get a Gemini API key. And then here, you can just click on this one, get a Gemini API key in Google Studio. As you can see, I have already created previously one. It's completely free. It has different APIs, like a different version, Gemini 2, Gemini 1.5. For our application, it's very simple. We don't need a complex AI to solve it. I just want to use the 1.5 one. It has more free tiers and you can have more token. So because I don't want to pay anything, so it's gonna be free for me for a long time. So I want to just create an API key. So I just use this one and click here and just copy this one. I go back to my environmental variable .env.local, and then here I want to add my Gemini API key. I just want to paste it here. And also I want to put it here as an example so you can see it in the GitHub repo. I just removed some last letters here. So we have just got it. And also we need to install a package here. Let me open a new terminal. We need to install a package called, we just say npm install at Google/generative -AI. Generative-AI at Google. So press enter. Okay, it's already installed. No problem. Okay. In the next step, as we are using MongoDB, we need to create a model for our homepage content. So if you look at this eraser, previously we have created this user model, user.model.js. Now we need to create another model for our homepage content. So inside our cluster, as you can see now, we have a users model that includes the users. Now what we want to do is to add another database in another cluster called homepage content, and we're gonna save these information, the title and the description. So let's create this, and let me copy this. Let's go to MongoDB. Sorry, the Visual Studio Code. Let's close everything. src lib models. Let's create that. So homepage content.model.js. So here, it's very simple. We just need to import Mongoose from Mongoose. And we're gonna create a new schema. We call it homepage content schema. We can use mongoose.schema to create it. And we're gonna have title. The type is going to be string. It's going to be required. Then description, type is string, required. And then another things I want to add is updated by, because I want to know who updated this. I want to use the, just a type of string, make it simple. And required, and the default value is going to be by ingest. And finally, we're going to have the timestamp true. So we're going to save the data of the creation and update. I think I missed some bracket here. Okay, now it's okay, fine. After creating the schema, we just say const homepage content. If the model exists, we want to use it. Just say mongoose.models.homepage content. Or if it's not, it doesn't exist, we can just create it using the schema that we have just defined at the top. And then finally, we're going to export that. So we have done this part. We have just created this model. We already have the MongoDB. We can connect to the MongoDB through this mongoose.js. Just we have created this homepage content model. The next step is to add a credential. If you know, we just sometimes we want to do something inside ingest. And in order to have some information about the movies and some things, we need some environmental variable access for the, if you're using an AI, for example, like Gemini, we need to add the API key. So inside this file here, the client.js inside the ingest, so we want to add the Gemini API key. So here we go to, where was it? I forgot. So src ingest client. So here we have defined this ID for the application. So we can add more information. For example, let's add something else. For example, I want to add name, which is going to be IMDB app. Then we want to have, for example, credentials. The credential is going to be the Gemini. And for the Gemini, the API key is going to be process.env.gemini app API key. So we have added this here, Gemini API key. Now we're gonna use it inside the client. So let's close this. Now it's time to create our function. So before we have created this hello world function, now we want to create another one. So here, I just want to create another function called, let me just create a name, const generate, for example, just a homepage content. And then we just use the ingest, like similar to this one. Just ingest that create function. We set a name for that, ID, and etc. So for example, the ID is going to be generate homepage content. We can have a event for that one, similar to the top one. And yeah, I just want to ignore the event. We don't need event, but I just want to put the name for that. Generate homepage content. Similar to this one, you can just say generate homepage content. Let's create this one like this. And the next step, I want to just say every week, just update this one. We can just use something called cron, and then we set it like this. This one means every week. At the Sunday, at the midnight, they're gonna update our application. So this is going to be run every Sunday. No, sorry. If this one is 0, it's every Sunday. So 0, 0, star, star, 0. Every Sunday at midnight. Then, now we have to define the steps. So it's a synchronous function. We have event as an input, for example, payload or something. We don't need to use event, but we can just add it here. So we just say what we want to do first. We want to just get the movie data. Remember inside the home page, if you look at the eraser, our home page, src app, this is our home page, page.js home page. Inside the home page, we have requested and get the information of the trending movies here. Why we want to use the trending movies? Because trending movies is being updated every day by our database. So based on this changing, because the trending movies is always changing, we want to produce a dynamic description and title. So here, let's go to the home page. So app, let's close everything, src app, and home page, page.js. So we fetch data like this. So I just want to get this code. So we don't need to write it down again. And go to function. So in the first step, we want to run that, get the movie. So here we create a step. We just say const, for example, result or home page, movie, trending movie results. So we just say trending movies results. Then this is going to be a wait, and we want to use a step. So we're going to run this, and this is going to be fetch the trending movie, you can call it. And this is going to be a synchronous function. So here, I want to paste that code. So first, we're going to get the response. We fetch from this URL. We get the trending movies. We need to pass the API key here at the top. So here at the top, I'm going to import we're going to define the API key that we have from the environmental variable. In the environmental variable, I just call it API underline key. Okay, I paste it here. So now we have our API key. So we fetch the request from this URL. We get the data converted to JSON. And if the result is not okay, we're going to throw an error. Otherwise, we want to save the results. And once we save the results, we want to use this result to generate our AI the content. So that was the first step, the step run. So step run, let's close this. So this one is already closed. So this is the first step. The second step is to run the AI. So I just want to say const. So what we want to do is to we just say, for example, Google Gemini results. Okay, so we just say await. Because this is an AI, it's a we don't say run, we just say AI dot wrap. So this is a different approach to deal with this step. So it's called Gemini. And it's a asynchronous function. We have some input, for example, P. And then we're going to return await. We want to use the Gemini model to generate the content. So we're going to get the model as well. First, let me add it here. Model dot generate content. And we're going to pass this here. And also we want to pass a prompt. So we're going to create the prompt. Okay. I'm going to create the prompt and also get this model. So let's go at the top. Here, what we want to do here is to create, first we want to get the generative AI. We just say gen AI. We're going to use new Google, and this is going to be equal Google generative AI. And we need to import it. So we import it at the top from at Google /generative -AI. And then we want to pass our environmental variable. So it's a process.env Gemini API key. Once we have this Gen AI, we can create the model. Just say model, Gen AI, get. We use this method generative AI. And what the model we want to use is, we just say model, and we want to use the simplest one. It has the most free version as the cheapest, and just say Gemini dash 1.5 Flash. That's it. So this is a model. So now that we have this model, now we want to create this prompt. What I mean by prompt is we want to, when we get this movie data, which is an array of the movies with their title, description, the number of votes, many information. We want to get this information and add it to a prompt, and we can just generate a title and a description with that. So let me create the prompt here. We just say const prompt. We just say, I want it to be dynamic because I want to add it. For example, I want to say, analyze these movies. What I mean by movies is here. So we want to say these results. So we just say add, we want to add this. First, I want to, because this is an array, I want to create a string with that, which is going to be this results. But we need to actually return this to have access to it. So we just say return data.result, which is this data, and this return is going to be this trending movie results. So I want to add this trending movie results. So analyze these movies and provide a title and description in only the following format, which is JSON. Because I want to get the JSON format. So what is that format? I want it to be like this. Inside a bracket, we have title, which is the title of the movie, but I want to say an exciting title, like a exciting movie title with 50 characters. Okay, and then we're gonna have the description. Exciting movie description, which instead of 50, we're gonna have 200 or 150 is enough. And for more explanation, I just want to say, please note, and it is very important. So this is the information, and no additional information, text, or should be added to the JSON object. And what else I want to do is to inside, if you look at the final version, you can see that we have movies, but when we click on it, we go to that movie URL. I want to add this functionality. I want to do Google Gemini, check that array and get this ID of these movies as well and create a different format for me. So here I want to add that. So, and add a link for each movie with this address. Movie /movie ID. Movie ID is available inside that array. And I want this to be with the HTML format, with HTML format. And then I want to just give them some example. Let me just paste the code here. It's just we just say like this. It's an anchor tag. And I just tell him to just put the movie title here. And then this is the href. And this is some classes for using the Tailwind CSS. So as you can see from the final version, we have this kind of cool classes to design our description. So this is a prompt. So we just say analyze these movies. It's gonna analyze all these movies here, you can see, and tells you a story. For example, here it says, get ready for cinematic thrill ride from this sci-fi adventure of Electric State, which is this movie, to gripping mystery of adolescence, which is this movie, and then the action-packed Mikey 17 here. So each time you generate different things, it's unique, and also every day the movies change. You don't need to worry about changing these texts, and you're gonna always have a amazing thing. So this is kind of idea for your website. Anywhere in your website you want to have a dynamic content, now you can use AI to create it. So now let's go back here. So we have this prompt. Now we use Gemini and this prompt to create it. So let me see the next step. So this is the when you get this information from Google Gemini, it's a little bit in a bad format. So what we want to do is we want to create it and convert it to a text. So let me just grab this code and show. So it's 3 lines of code. First link from this, let me just change this one. This Gemini result.response.candidate. So, and then we get the text from it. If there is nothing, so there's some error, we just say an empty string. And we want to clean this text. Although we mentioned to it to don't add any extra character or something, but still the AI makes some mistakes sometimes. So we can just remove all these characters and also remove the spaces from at the end and the beginning. And finally, we wanna have this homepage content from Google Gemini, which is we want to parse this one and make it as a JSON format. So now it's time to save it in our MongoDB. So we just say save the generated content to the database, which is MongoDB. Okay. So this is the next step. So I want to be sure this one is returned, and it came here. We have homepage. So now we create another. We're gonna create a function. And remember, we have saved our. If you go to the user, in the action user, we have saved our user data using this function. Find one and update. And no, not this. Create or update user. We want to do the same things for the homepage. If the homepage is already created, we want to update it. If it's not there, we want to create it. So instead of creating two functions, we want to just add this one. So it's going to be similar to this one. I'm not going to type it. I just want to show you. Instead of this one, I'm going to just type it and explain. I think it's better. So I want to create a function called create and create or update. And instead of user, we just say homepage content. And it is asynchronous, and this is going to get two inputs, title and description. I just want to be sure that nothing is imported here. That's fine. Okay, now we just use try and catch. We first connect to our database. So we need to import this from Mongoose. And then it's not Mongoose. It's from the function that we have created inside this library. This mongoose.js, we have a function called connect. So it's coming from this one. So let's just delete this. Say import connect from and this is like this at /library /mongodb/mongoose. Okay. So we want to connect first. Then, so we want to just say homepage content mongoose dot. No, sorry, we want to wait. And then we just say, remember we have created a model. This model, homepage content. We just say homepage content. I think it was lowercase, or yes. Yeah, export this one. And we need to import it from our model. We want to use find one and update. First, we want to search inside this. So we just say if the updated by is equal to ingest, then we wanna use the set method. Just say set title, description, and also that updated by ingest. And finally, here we wanna have an upsert, a new true, upsert true. What this one does is if this one exists, it's going to create it, it's going to update it. If it doesn't exist, it's going to create it. So upsert true. And new true is going to return the new things here. So let me close this and return this homepage content. And if an error happens, I just want to console log or console error. I say fail to create and update the homepage content. Let's close this. And so the next step now, we just say await a step.run. Now this step is called create or update the homepage content. This is going to be synchronous. Then we want to await. We want to call this create update this function that we have created, this function. So let me see why we get in this error. So we need to add a comma here. So now we just say await, and then we want to pass two information, the title and the description. Remember the Gemini, we have created this Gemini and it gives us the homepage content from Google Gemini. Now we want to use this one to get the title and description like this. So we just say homepage, the title, and also the description. This is close. Let me see if we are putting a correct number of brackets. It should be one bracket here. Okay, I think it's fine. That's correct. I put two consts here. And this one should be export. Okay. So we have two functions now, hello world and this generate homepage content, right? So this one, it has three steps. First step is to get the movie information. Then we have generated GMI results. And finally, we're going to save it in our database, which is here. So now we don't see it probably now inside our ingest local. If we go to functions, we still see only one function. The reason is we need to add this one here inside our remember we had some API route. So API is ingest routes. So we only had this one. Now we want to add the second function that we have created, which is this. I'm going to copy this and paste it here. And we need to import this. Okay, now we have two functions. So let's see. They refresh this one. There's an error here. Invalid function. Ensure the full URL is correct, including the port ingest automatically scan. So let's see what. I think there is a problem here. Yeah, I find the error. We just need to remove this ID. We don't need this ID. The name is enough here. And once you do it, as you can see, we don't have any error here. And if you check the functions, we can see now we have an extra function called generate homepage content. So now we can invoke this. Let's invoke this. As you can see, it's running. First, we get the movie data. As you can see, the output is working. We got the movie data. Now, but for getting the information for the what is called the Gemini AI, we are getting some error. Let's see the console if we make some mistakes here. Okay, so now they said movie is not defined here. So let's go to the functions. In the prompt, here. Actually, I didn't need to add this as a string because we want this one to be just the format. Yeah, I don't need this. Yeah, movie ID. That's enough. Let's try again. Let's cancel this. Go to functions. Invoke this again. So now the movie is, we got it, the movie. Now Gemini is working. As you can see, Gemini was successful. So Gemini worked fine. We got the output. As you can see, we got the text, including the title and everything else. So, but in order to save our application, we are getting an error. So we can find this error here as well. Let's see. Okay. So now this error cannot access homepage content. Okay. Now we have imported, I think, in the wrong way. So this is a homepage content, the model that we have created. Inside the function, we have to import it. Homepage content from homepage content.model .js. This is homepage content. Yeah, this one. How they cannot have access to it? That's a question. Because we have imported this. Yeah, I think we have to. Is it imported as a default? Yes, it's default. Let me try again. Models, homepage content, that model. Oh, we cannot have access to it. This is a weird a little bit. Because maybe we have used the same name here, so it's a bit confusing. So I just changed this one. We just say saved homepage content and then return this. Okay, now let's try again. Let's cancel this. Go to functions, invoke. Okay. Let's see if we can save this one in our database. So Gemini was correct. Still, we are getting some error. Let's see the error. Okay, here. Unexpected non-white space character after the JSON. I hit this one. JSON.parse. Yeah, I don't know why this one went to the different. Maybe it's just this is a bit weird. Yeah, this cleaned text that replace. Here, let me ask the GitHub Copilot about that. I cannot find it, the error here. So where is the error? This one. So I am getting this error. So being passed the JSON contains extra character invalid JSON. This is likely caused by the text extracted from the Google Gemini not being properly cleaned. Steps. Okay. Yeah, suggest me to do these things. Oh, let me see what we get actually from Gemini. I think the things we are getting from Gemini is a bit weird now. So this is the text. You just say JSON title. It's giving me body or something like that. Elements identify. Yeah, he's just explaining me something unnecessary. Okay, let me let me update this prompt again. I want to use the prompt that I have written before. So this is the prompt. Let me completely remove it and paste it with this one. This one I wrote before. It's similar, but I want to be sure that it's at the end. I just say important, return only the JSON, no additional text and notes. So probably this one would work. So now we have this one, and then let's try again. We rerun this, and we cancel this. You go to runs. Yeah, okay. Let me cancel this and then we refresh the page. Go to functions, invoke this. So now we're getting the movies. There's a problem with the Gemini. So let me check the error here. Results not fine. Oh, okay. I think I have changed the name here. So this is the result here. The name is trending movie results actually. Okay, now let's try again. Let's cancel this. We go to functions, invoke this. Okay, we got this movie. Okay, Gemini is working. Finally, it's the create is okay too. Let's check our database. We refresh the page. Now, as you can see, now we have another section, homepage contents. And as you can see, we have title, hottest new movies and show, and there's this description. The description includes the anchor tag for the movies and etc. Nice. So in the next section, I'm gonna use this data and show it in the home page. It's just very simple. We need to add an API route for getting the information from the database and fetch that data and show it inside the home page. All right, welcome back. So we have done this part, creating this description and title and save it inside the database. Now we want to create an API to request the data from the database and show it inside our homepage like the one in the final version. So if you look at the eraser, so we have created this model, homepage content.model.js. So now we have this model. We have saved this homepage data inside the database. Now we want to create an API route to get the information. So we want to create an API for the homepage content, and this is a GET request. And we want to create a file called route.js, and based on that, when we request to the API /API/homepage content /get, we want to get the homepage content. So let's first create this API route. So basically, like the one we did for the user, is here we get the favorite of the user. We want to do the same thing and create the homepage content and get the information. So we go back to Visual Studio Code. And let me just save this one. So this is going to be add Gemini API integration for getting homepage. Use ingest to add Gemini API integration for generating homepage content and update the database. Okay, so we can now commit and push this. So now let's create the API route. So I'll go to API. we want to create a folder called homepage content. So home page content, and we want to create a folder called get, and finally we're going to have route.js. So now the things we want to do is just import our homepage model, the homepage model or homepage, what we call it here, the model. Yeah, homepage content. Import homepage content. From at library models, then homepage content.model. Correct? Homepage content.model.js. Yeah. And we want to import connect. So that's okay. Connect. And this is coming from the MongoDB Mongoose. Now we want to create a post request. We just say export const post. And then this is going to have a request. We want to use the try and catch. Inside the try, we want to first connect to the database. Then we want to have the homepage content. We use await and we use that model and we find that. Finally, we want to return a new response. And we want to get the data as a string. Just say JSON.screenify homepage content. And the status is going to be 200. Let's close this. And for the catch, we want to console log the cache. You can console log the error or the error. Just say error getting the homepage content. And then we're going to return a new response saying error getting the homepage content. The state is going to be 500. Close this. So this is the API route. Now what we want to do is to go to the homepage. Remember, homepage is just inside the src app, and then we have this file, page.js. So we go to page.js here. And we're going to have a second request, another request for getting the data. First, I want to create, so let me add it at the top. Or let's make it after this. So we create a variable called homepage content. And then we want to fetch the data from the API that we have created. But the API, because we want to use the URL, because we have created the URL, remember here, in the local, we need to add a URL because we want to have the request for both here and also we want to have it outside in the, this is a local, and then we want to do it in the our final production mode. So I want to create something called URL, a variable, and this is going to be here HTTP localhost 3000. Let's add this one to the example as well. And then we want to fetch data from that process.env.url plus that API route, which was API/homepage content/get. And the method is going to be post. And also we want to have the header. And then we just say cache, no store, no store. So each time we want to catch a new content. The content is going to be updated weekly, but you can have a weekly cache as well. But here, just for simplicity, I just say no store. And then after that, let's put this one in a try and catch. So we just say try and catch. I'll put this one inside it. Try and catch. So after this request, where is the request? Try should be here. Okay, now it's okay. Try this let. Yeah, I think here is just a miss. Let me fix this one. So I create a constant here. I call it the results. And then here I create a variable. I call it homepage content. We set it to be null at the beginning. And then we have a try and catch. We catch the data here. Let me close this. And then if the result is not okay, we want to throw an error. Otherwise, we want to get the text. Just say cons. We just say text, and this is going to be await. And we want to get this result or results. And we want to convert this one to a text. And if the text exists, we want to have the const data equals to JSON.parse the text, and then the homepage content is going to be that data. If there's more, we just say 0. And then if there's nothing, we just say null. else we want to set we just say console log. We just say, for example, empty response. In the catch as well, we just say log error getting the homepage content. So after that, I think that's ready. Let's close this. I think that's fine. Now we want to show it here before the result. So I create a div at the top. So I want to have a div, and then let's close this div, and then let's cover this one. And I want to add that h1 and text here. So we want to make it like the final version here. So as you can see, we have the title and the description. So we want to show them here. So we want to create a condition. We just say if the homepage content exists, then we want to have a div. We want to show the title, and also we want to have a paragraph showing the description. And then let's close this div. I just first want to show it, and then I'm going to design and like fix the errors or anything happens. So let's close this. Let's check our application. Go to home page. So there is an error. It's importance from here. They couldn't find this file. So let me check. So I want to know how I save it and how I import it here. So homepage content. Let me use the same thing here. Still we are getting the same error. Now connect has a problem. So add /lib is not that's a problem here. Okay. So now we are getting the result. The h1, you see the title, and also we are getting this description. But the description, as you can see, it's a bit weird because it has the HTML, but I don't want to see the HTML. I want to convert the HTML and show it like a regular text here. So we can do that by just changing this paragraph. I want to change this paragraph to a div, and then inside the div, I want to add something called dangerously inner HTML, and then you want to show it like this. And now we don't need this homepage as well. Let's see. Now we are getting it correctly. As you can see that we have this style, and let's just add some class names here and make it more nice. So for this div that is covering both of them, I just want to make the text to be center, margin bottom 10, maximum width of 6 XL, and MX Auto. Also, I want to have a padding of in the y-axis of 10. For the H1 tag, I want to add some styling. Let me just grab the style. So here, I just want to add this one. This is going to be a background gradient from purple to pink. So let's check. As you can see, here we have this title. And let's make this div a little bit more nice. You just say class name. Then a small size and above, I want to make the text to be large. And we have a padding of 4. Okay. And then for this, I think it's fine for here. I think this one, max width 6XL, but that is better. Yeah, that's it for our project. Let's deploy this one, the final version. So I'm gonna add everything and create a message for this commit. Let's get some suggestion. Add API for fetching homepage content and update page component to display it. So that's okay. We just commit and push. So now I want to be sure that the final version is working as well. So we go to the final version. Let's go to the home page. Let's go to Vercel. First, we see that this deployment must be successful. So as you can see, it's building. 17 seconds passed. Let's check everything is fine. There are some like a warning here that you can avoid. It's still building, that's fine. Okay, now that it's ready, let's refresh this. We're still not getting this result. Yes, something we need to do is because the URL we have defined here. Remember, we have defined a URL. This URL is different inside the Vercel. So we need to go to the setting of this application. Let me check, go back. Go to setting, environmental variables. Now we want to add that URL. We just say URL, and the final version, the URL is this one. So I'm gonna add this, save this, and we're gonna redeploy that. So when this deployment finished, now the URL is added, so we can see the results here. Okay, the deployment is completed. So let's check the final version again. Let's refresh this page. Okay, now we see the title and also this description. Let's click on this and we go to this page. So as you can see, it was just All right, that was it for our application. I hope you enjoyed and learned many things. We have learned how to use Gemini API and also ingest, how to automate creating the content in any website, and you can have a fresh content weekly or daily. I hope you enjoyed. So see you in the next project.